When I was a teenager, I saw a friend pick up a guitar and something changed. I was 15 years old, I was over at my buddy Mason's house and I saw that he had a guitar. So I asked him to play me something and he played Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was hooked. I asked if he would teach me how to play the song, so I learned the intro to that song and I was inspired. So for my 16th birthday, I asked for a guitar and I got it. And in fact, I actually still have the guitar. It's pretty beat up. It's not actually a Jackson. I just threw that on there because I liked Jackson guitars, but I still got it. And I taught myself how to play a guitar. I started off by just teaching myself through tablature that I would download off the internet and learning Metallica songs. I basically just wanted to learn as much Metallica as I could. And that was the start of it, but I didn't get my actual first taste of what it would be like to potentially be a rock star until a high school lip sync contest. So me and some friends, we signed up for the lip sync contest, but we didn't want to do like other people were doing where they would act out the song and then lip sync to the song. We wanted to perform. So we brought our guitars, we had a drum set, we had a mic stand, and we got up there and performed Fuel by Metallica as if we had our own personal show. It was great. The crowd was into it, they were cheering, it felt amazing. And we didn't win, but we felt like rock stars. The next day, people in the hallways were telling us how badass that was, and it really made us feel like celebrities. It was really amazing, and it was even good enough, I guess, that they decided that they wanted us to do an encore performance at an upcoming pep rally, which again brought back that same spark and made us feel like rock stars once again. We never ended up doing anything like actually becoming a real band, but we lived in that moment and it was amazing, and we had some great times looking back on the day that it felt like we were Metallica or felt like we were rock stars up on stage. A few years would pass and I still continued playing guitar and a lot of Metallica actually, and a few other things that I'd mix in there, but I was now in Korea in the United States Army, and there was a few guys in my unit that wanted to participate in an upcoming talent show. They needed a second guitar player, so they asked me if I wanted to join, but we didn't have a whole lot of time, so we had to try to find a song that was gonna be easy to play. So we ended up landing on Social Distortion's Story of My Life. It was only a few chords, fairly simple to learn in a short amount of time, so we practiced for about 3 weeks every single night for the most part until the talent show came. Talent show came and we ended up going up last, and I actually still have the guitar. So this is the guitar I performed with, and a funny story about this guitar because it was made in Korea, but then of course shipped to a warehouse in the United States. I was stationed in Korea, ordered it online, so then it got shipped to me back to Korea, and then eventually I had to leave Korea, so then I had to ship it back to the United States. So it went back and forth quite a few times and got some good travel out of it. But back to the story. So we get up, we go on last, and we killed it. It was amazing. It was inside of like a conference room at a hotel for the talent show, but the crowd was super into it. And again, I got to feel like a rock star. This time I was actually playing the song. So I was actually up there playing it, killing it, and we won first place. The prize wasn't anything amazing, but the accomplishment of winning first place was pretty awesome. After Korea, life kept moving on, but the dream didn't. I continued playing, I got more guitars, I got another amp, a bigger amp actually, and I got involved with the local music scene in Colorado Springs. It started off with just kind of, shooting promo videos, maybe some live shows and all sorts of other things. And from that, I ended up making several friends from these local bands. Some of them wanted to start another band. So they asked if I wanted to join this new venture and start a band. And so we started Hazardous. That was the name we landed on. I don't remember why, but one of the other band members was already in an established local band called Habitual. He was the singer for that band, and through his connections, he got us a pretty good practice space that we were able to utilize. The coolest thing I remember about that practice space was down the hall, there was other bands that were also using rooms for practice spaces, and you'd take a little bit of a break and you'd hear these other bands practicing, and it's just a really cool atmosphere to have all these other bands in the building with you. Now, looking back, I don't think the songs were great, but it was fun, so I really didn't care. We had roughly about 3 or 4 kind of rough songs, and we wanted to test them out because that guy who had that established band, he already had a show booked at this local venue called Union Station. It was a small little bar. His band was performing there, so we thought, hey, let's test out these 3 songs on a crowd. So after Habitual set, we jumped up on stage, we performed our 3 songs, and it was great, right? There wasn't a large crowd, it was maybe like 50 to 100 people, something like that, but nonetheless, we felt like rock stars.
And on guitar, we got thatchrischaos! Give it all! And roll! You're on your phone! Roll alone! You're on your phone!
In that moment, you know, it was amazing. Playing your own songs, living the dream, but my army life ended up getting in the way. So I found out that I was deploying again to Iraq, and it was actually my second time deploying there, and I was gonna be gone for a while. I was gonna be gone for 15 months. So the plan was gonna be that we were gonna find someone to fill in for me, and then when I came back, then I would just take back over as being the guitar player for the band. Things kind of happened while I was gone. You know, there was scheduling conflicts and all sorts of other things, and the band just kind of ended up kind of just drifting away and kind of falling apart. So by the time I came back, there was no more Hazardous. But sometime after I came back, I got invited to do another show, and this time it was from another band that I was good friends with called Sanguine Addiction. So they had a new album coming out, and they were gonna do a CD release party. So they invited me and another friend of ours, Mark, who, you know, knew how to play guitar, to learn one of their songs and each play a song during the CD release party. So we learned our respective songs, we practiced, you know, with the band and everything, and then the day came and we hit the stage. It was amazing. We did this performance at a local venue called the Black Sheep, and the place was packed. There was lights, there was crowd energy. It felt amazing being up there on stage, and everybody's looking at you, cheering, in some cases singing along with some of the songs because they knew the band well enough, and it was awesome. And I think from that moment, it sparked yet another journey. Because sometime after that, Mark, the other individual who's also doing one of those songs with us, he ended up hitting me up and he wanted to start a band, and we had another mutual friend who played drums, so the 3 of us got together to start a new band. We started off playing in the basement of my house, which wasn't very much room. It was definitely not enough room for 2 guitarists and a full drum set to be playing, but we made it work for the time that we had in that space. But eventually we ended up moving to a larger space because Mark had a relative who owned a bingo hall, and attached to that bingo hall was a very large warehouse that he let us use. So we had a little corner in that warehouse that we could use for our practice space. I still remember a funny moment of me and Mark walking through the front lobby or the front area of that bingo hall while people are playing bingo, carrying guitars to the back to go practice. Now, we didn't have a singer. We had someone else who was kind of filling in on bass, and we were just kind of having fun creating some songs. We didn't have a band name. We didn't have anybody to sing the songs that we were creating, but through that process, I had the idea of wanting to document it, and I wanted to create like a little series to put on YouTube of the process of building this band. Because if that band did take off and become really successful, I wanted to have this cool journey and thought I'd make a cool story. But kind of from that process, I kind of realized something. I was filming everything. I was filming, you know, practices, interviews, everything. But from that process, I found that I had more fun making the videos than I did making the music. only had a few episodes, and it wasn't long before we ended up losing that space because the owner wanted to rent it out to a local MMA group to be able to use it for working out and for training out of it and everything. And we didn't really have a place to kind of go to from there. So that, in addition to like scheduling conflicts, things just kind of started falling apart and kind of drifted away. Now, I didn't become a rock star, but from that process of creativity, I found that I would fall in love with something that wasn't the actual making of the music. I enjoyed the process of making something from scratch and building something up, even if nobody ever heard it or saw it. Now, years later, when AI came out with tools to utilize to make AI music, I realized that I don't have to stop making music, I just maybe have to change the way that I make the music. Now, let's be clear about something though. I don't believe that AI music is on the same level as a band who's really talented making actual music. It's not even close. But it's fun, and honestly, it's more convenient for my lifestyle. Because if you've ever tried to form a band, you have to find individuals that have the same creative vision as you. You have to find people that are into the same music and want to create the same music as you. Schedules to make sure that people are going to be able to get together for band practice, a band practice location. There's all sorts of logistics that if it doesn't work out, it can sometimes be a nightmare. But with making music with AI, I don't have to worry about any of that. It's just me in my office working on songs and making it on my time the way I want to do it in my own vision. Now, many people will probably criticize, using AI to make music, and that's fair. They'll criticize if it's even really music in the first place. Some may even be afraid that AI is going to replace real bands. I don't believe that because I don't think the machines have that same aspiration, that same drive to want to be a rock star, to want to get up on stage and perform. Because while I can sure make music using AI or make music using AI, I can't go and take those songs and get up on stage and perform, at least not in a traditional sense. So because of that, there will still always be real bands making real music. AI is just another way to maybe inspire people, because if I had something like this when I was first starting off, maybe things would have gone differently. Maybe I would have been inspired to go in a certain direction that would have been successful. It could have inspired me to write riffs, could have inspired me to make songs in a certain way, and maybe I could have been a rock star. Because I'm sure there's a kid out there right now that is doing just that, making music with AI, getting inspired, learning an instrument, and forming a band. Maybe they will become the rock star that I never did. And honestly, that's pretty cool. I'll save my AI music journey for another episode because I want to leave you with this. The moral of this story here is chase your dreams, even if you can't catch them.